going to hear from some recent college and high school students, for them, how college did change everything. We have a couple recent college graduates who, based on their own journeys to and through college, have become part of the ISACorps. The ISACorps is an almost 90-member group of recent college graduates employed by ISAC to act as near-peer mentors to high school-age students and younger as they prepare to make academic, college, and career choices. The ultimate goal of the mentors and the program is to help students and their families make the most well-informed decisions possible about post-secondary paths and the requisite preparation. Through early intervention with unbiased, accurate, and comprehensive information about college and career preparation, it is expected that students will make choices that result in greater success, better return on investment, and increased economic productivity and stability for the student, the community, and the state. You can learn more about the ISACorps and the ISACorps members in your region, because they're across the entire state, at the ISAC website, isac.org. Representing ISACorps today, we have Ruben Barrio and Alyssa Humbles. They're going to share their stories with you, and first we'll have Ruben come up. Thank you.
Hello, how you guys doing? My name is Ruben Barrio, and I'm Barrio. It's okay. It happens, you know. So they asked me today to come and say a little bit of my story as a first-generation student. Don't worry, I'm not going to make you all cry or anything. I'm just going to talk a little bit about myself. Currently, we're in training for ISAC, the ISACorps member I'm training right now, and one of the sessions was to talk a little bit about yourself in front of a group like this. So that was very beneficial because I did like a little bit of, I don't know, I did a little bit of interchanging there. So one time I was looking at a map with some of my students, and we're looking where everybody's from, and I looked at the map and I couldn't find my country of origin. And I mean, it's a feeling that you can't explain, and people weren't really empathic about it because every single country basically is on a map. For some reason, Puerto Rico is never there. I don't know why. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it's there, sometimes it don't. But I don't know. And I was furious. I was really furious. And if you guys know about Puerto Ricans, we have a lot of identity issues. So if you take a land, you know, you take a land out of a map, that makes it worse. You know, you're not a country, you're not a state, but you're not even on a map actually. So for some reason, that really hit me. And I just started thinking about the first times. So first time I rode a bike, first time I kissed a girl, first time I fell in love, the first time Puerto Rico beat the Dream Team, which consequently was the first time that I saw my dad cry. I'm telling you, we have a lot of identity issues. So. And then I started thinking about the struggles. So like, living in a 2-bedroom apartment with 3 sisters, and all of the sisters living in one room, and me living in my own room, because my dad thinks that I'm gonna be the one that is gonna take them out of there. You know, so he's really taking care of me, but the 3 sisters are all backed up in one room. I remember waiting for my mom to come back at 2, 3 a.m. because teaching wasn't enough for all of us. I just started thinking about all those struggles, and I just got furious that the land that all of these things happened wasn't on the map, and I just couldn't explain it to my students why I was so mad. And for some reason, that is the same way that I connect with these students, right? Sometimes I talk to students in Inglewood that have never seen Lake Michigan, and it's basically like the same, no? Like we are invisible sometimes to people. Or we talk to some students that are undocumented and they don't even have a chance sometimes to be able to connect, be able to get a college education just because of that. So we basically are invisible. And don't get me wrong, it's difficult to come into a country and encounter all the language barriers, the racial profiling, my socioeconomic background. It was really tough. But at the same time, all of those experiences are the things that make me a perfect candidate for this job. These students can relate to me in many ways. They don't see it as, I don't see it as I'm undocumented and I'm invisible, but they know my struggles too. Maybe we're not the same, we're not coming from the same race, the same background, but they know my struggles too. So, for some reason, that instance of not seeing Puerto Rico on a map made me realize why I do this, and it's because I want to give back that same passion and that same motivation to these students that sometimes don't have the resources, or sometimes they just don't have the luck to come out of their situation. So my message is always the same: college changes everything. After I went to college, my whole family came after me. I was like the guinea pig. They throw me to Chicago. They saw that I survived. They came through after. So college in many ways changes everything. Before I only knew Puerto Ricans. When I came here, I met all these people. Like now, I like Mexicans more than Puerto Ricans. So I just try to explain to all these students that never seen those type of situations that just by going to college, your life is going to change forever. And it's not only within the classroom. It's something that is going to help affect you holistically your whole life, like forever. So yeah, I mean, that's a little bit of my story. I'm Ruben Borrero, and I'm a Latino in higher education.
Hi, my name is Alyssa Humbles. Forgive me, I'm not used to doing the podium speech. I'm usually used to walking, but I work with ISAC, and my story isn't really about me, but rather my experience working as a member of the ISACorps. And I wanted to not only welcome you guys to the convention, but also to my district. Sam was able to explain to you guys a little bit about how we're sectioned throughout the state, but a little more about that is, it was a dream on a napkin, and we were designed to go and help every high school throughout the state, but how do we narrow that down? So they decided not only will we just go to high schools, but the high schools that their matriculation will be to the community college. So my community college district is Prairie State. That's why I said welcome. I saw some of the people that I work with and some people that I hope to work with in Prairie State's district, so hey. But the idea behind it was phenomenal. And I was able to not only make relationships with the community college, with the schools, but also the community themselves. And I think when I first got hired for this job, I was just excited to have a job 1 month and 3 days after graduating college. So thank you, Isaac. But the more and more I became comfortable in my position and going through my first training, I noticed that this just wasn't going to be a job anymore. My first time going into a school, I was combated with a lot of things about who are you, especially because, frankly, I look young. Don't mind the stature. So with that being said, I found a nice icebreaker that I can do when I did my presentations. You guys would be considered a large group for me as my first time going out into the field. And I would tell my parents to raise their hands. Turn to your student and whisper, "She looks like she's just your age." Then I'd exclaim, I know, it's okay. And let me explain who I am. So right now I'm 23 years old, a recent college graduate, and I work to make sure your student can do the exact same thing. And they will be like, well, how can we do what you're doing? First step is going to college. So throughout the years, I've been able to see a lot of students come in my office hours, go through their lunchrooms, sit in on their classrooms, and a lot of times they don't want to talk to me about college. They want to talk to me about what's going on in the lunchroom, what just happened at the basketball game last week, or what's going on in their personal lives. So it became more than just trying to get numbers of students to fill out the FAFSA, but rather to get students to connect with me, because ideally the idea behind being an ISACorps member is not only to go into the schools and be an extension of ISAC, but to be a near-peer mentor. That's why my age worked to my advantage. They looked at me and we listened to the same music. We went to the same stores to shop. We were able to relate and talk about hair, nails for the gentlemen, their shoes and their hats. So it worked to my advantage, but also it had its drawbacks. because at the same time where my parents were whispering that she looks just your age, my counselors were whispering the same. So sooner or later, the more they became comfortable with me, and I did see Lauren Meeks in here. She's from Prairie State, the director of the trio. Hey! She was the first person that gave me my chance to really show out in front of a crowd. And they were able to say she's not only knowledgeable and experienced, but she's knowledgeable and an expert in financial aid and college access. And thankfully, from my experiences, I was able to step in and help someone else. And I actually brought a student. I had the pleasure of bringing one, so I'm going to introduce Victoria Chandler. This is one of my students that I just had.
Hello, I'm Victoria Chandler. I just recently graduated from Rich South High School. And come next month, I'll be attending Southern Illinois University, Edwardsville. But, okay, yeah, so before senior year, no college, no, was not thinking about it at all. And, well, I wanted to go just because everyone else who was going, and they were telling me about their experience, but they all ended up coming back, and it just seemed like it wasn't enough. Then I met Miss Humbles. She represents you guys well, by the way. So I met her and started working with her. I was one of the students who talked about everything but college, but she kept me focused and started like the FAFSA, everything I had to fill out and stuff. All the other kids were ahead of me because I just did not want to hear about college. And I lost focus and everything was overwhelming and stressful, but luckily she brought me back and did what I had to do. So now I will be attending college. So thank you for that.
Thank you. I didn't put her up to saying nice things. But Victoria is just one of the students that I work with, and we report how many students that we work with. There's 90 plus of us throughout the state, so you can just imagine how many students that we're impacting. So as I'm sitting through these seminars, I'm not only taking in this information that I can relate to students coming next in this year to come, but rather I'm envisioning students' faces that I've worked with before, that this information would have truly been pertinent to them continuing on. And I kind of encourage you all to do the same. Don't just think about students and say students, but envision those faces because they have them. And their stories are unique. It's not just their college going and let's make this goal, but let's make this goal relevant to their lives, because what they want to do, it is going to impact us when we're older. And I know that I'm not at the point where I can say we're older, but I still feel that way. But think about what they look like. Think about not only the fact that we want to push them forward, but what are they going through before they come through to your office? Because one student told me, you're pushing 3 applications in my face. My mother's pushing 3 job applications in my face. I have real experiences, and this might not be my priority because at home I have them too. And it resonates with you a lot. And just briefly, sorry. I feel like ISAC really truly met us where we needed to be as recent college graduates so that we can do the goal that they put before us. They wanted us to meet the students at their level in their space. And they created the opportunity for us to make those partnerships. So if you haven't reached out to your ISACorps member, we are not there to try to take the jobs of the counselors, but we're an added resource, and a very good one too, because I've noticed it's not us that are getting them there, it's not just you. Peers encourage peers. They're a hub amongst themselves. So if one is doing it, the rest want to do it. So if we can get in at their level and truly marinate with them, then it seems to be a little easier along the way. So, thank you.